It is the morning sports desk for Monday, March 11th. I'm CJ Baumgartner. That's Corey Tackman. Corey, we have NFL free agency opening up. We have the Wolves to talk about. But first, we have the high school playoffs. We need to talk about Perham girls basketball on Friday night secured another Section 8 AA girls basketball title. They're going back down to the state tournament. They got a win over Pelican Rapids. I'm pulling up the final score here in just a second, but kind of a quick summary of the game, Corey, is Pelican had a game plan for Willow. They double teamed her, triple teamed her. Everybody was in the lane. They were giving all of the supporting cast of Perham open space, 5 feet open space. They were not closing out. They were daring them to shoot. And Perham in the early part of the game buried the shots that they needed to make. And then in that second half, they had to go respect it. They had to go guard those outside players. Willow Thiel only had like 6 points at halftime, finished with like 35 when it was all said and done because of that. So that's a good Pelican Rapids team. And Perham got the win. They're going back down to the state tournament. Really, really good game for them.
Yeah, congratulations to the Yellow Jackets. Congratulations to Coach Super and the team. Can we tease it right now?
I think so. We've
got another state tournament special coming out probably tomorrow with Coach Super, talking about a season, talking about his team. We preview a little bit the state tournament, and I feel for Coach Super and those Yellow Jackets because it certainly did feel like, CJ, that they had put a resume together during the season, and they kind of got the short end of the stick, maybe earning a random draw. And when you're in the random draw, that means you have a chance to take on the top team in the whole tournament. And that is exactly what happened. They draw Providence Academy in the first round, which is it's not, I guess, the ideal matchup that you would want. The other perspective on this is that, hey, they were maybe going to be like the 4 seed anyway, which would have put them on the same side of the bracket as Providence Academy. And then, you're hoping to play them in the semifinals. Either way, the point is you're going to have to beat Providence Academy pretty much no matter what. We had a great conversation with Coach Super, and I really look forward to being able to put that out for everyone to hear. As a basketball fan, this 2A tournament is so good. It is so good. We're talking about Willow Thiel. We're talking about Madden Greenway. We're talking about Tori Orline. We're like the premier players in the state in girls basketball, CJ. The best of the best players in the entire state are in this 2A tournament. Yeah, you can go to the 4A and you're going to find some girls from Hopkins or whatever who are Division I recruits. But the bulk of the best players are in this 2A tournament. It is going to be absolutely magnificent.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, just to get to see all the different players. And I know you got to see Orline. I didn't get a chance to do that. So getting to go down to the state tournament and watch those games at the pavilion and at the barn, and getting to see a really nice Albany team that beat Providence Academy in the regular season. So like it's going to be just so fun. Minnehaha, a team that beat Perham earlier in the season. That's like you talked about. It's a loaded 2A girls class. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be the tournament. Like people, like you said, people are going to show up for the 4A class. That people are going to be there. But I mean, that's going to be the one that like the casual high school basketball fan, they're making an appointment to see the 2A tournament, not so much the 4A tournament this year.
There is a comparison in high school sports in Minnesota this year, I think, to national collegiate sports, where I think collegiately, nationally speaking, there are bigger, more recognizable names on the women's side of things. All the players that everyone knows, we know more women's players than men's players, I think, this year, as a casual fan, right?
Right.
I think the same is true in Minnesota State high school sports. Like the biggest names in basketball in the state are girls basketball players. It's just been an awesome year for girls sports. It's going to be an awesome year for 2A girls basketball. I cannot wait to see that basketball tournament. And I'm jealous of you that you get to go and you get to watch all 3 of them in that state tournament.
Yeah, you got to watch Orline in the regular season, so your penance for that was having to not go to the state tournament. So sorry about that.
It's funny because technically I still have the choice. So it's not like I wasn't like, we didn't talk about it. And you're like, I'll go do state. I could pull rank hero. Is that what I should do? Is that what I need to do right now?
No, because what if I told you I already booked a hotel room?
You just have to take some personal days, I guess.
I guess you got me there. Then I'll just go down and watch the games anyway. So, we might actually have a plan here. There's a lot of other, when you look at the local teams, obviously Crosby Ironton made it. There's Albany in there. In 3A, Alexandria area. In Class A, there's Underwood and Walker, Hackensack, Akeley. Like you talked about in national for Division I, women's basketball is more popular than men's basketball this year, at least in terms of just the chatter and the PR. And
100%.
There's a lot more superstars in there. And it's that same case with just local girls basketball this year. There's some good boys teams. There's some good boys players. They are still going.
Of course.
But this year, there's just a lot. There's a really good collection of girls basketball talent. Look at how many local teams from this area we have in the state tournament. It's really, really fun.
It's stunning. It's awesome. I cannot wait. It's going to be great. Can I just throw this out as a quick aside?
Yeah.
A reminder for smart TV users.
Okay.
If you don't have cable, if you're a cable cutter, you're a Roku, whatever, download the KSTP app, because all of the semifinal and championship games will be on that app. If you don't, because you're not going to get, we don't live in an area where you're going to get Prep 45 and be able to watch them on your cable. So
right.
If you have a smart TV and you download the KSTP app to your TV, you'll then be able to watch those televised games will be on the app. Just so you know. And then of course, Perham Yellow Jackets girls basketball on the Superstation K106, their entire run through the state tournament, including Wednesday night, 6:00 tip-off, about a 5:45 pregame on the Superstation. And where else?
WadenaRadio.com and the Superstation K106 app. That's where you can listen worldwide. That is one word.
Put CJ in your pocket. It won't be weird.
It won't be weird. It won't be weird at all. There's a line from Anchorman that I thought about saying, but maybe I'll hold off on that one.
Is it the one where about San Diego?
No, not that one. That's the I don't want to work here anymore. That's that line.
Is it the meaning of San Diego?
No, not that one. That's also the when I want to be done working here line.
Is it the definition of diversity?
I forgot that joke, actually.
It's an old wooden ship.
All right. Oh man. No, it's something about when Brick tries to do his attempt to flirt with Christina Applegate's character, with Veronica.
Oh yeah. Mike, can I tell you my most underrated line in that whole movie?
Sure.
Where'd you get your clothes? The toilet story.
As evidenced by you couldn't finish it without cracking up.
Even the guy who can't say anything says something. You guys can't say anything? All right, sorry.
Anchorman's a good movie, turns out. So anyway, moving on to the boys bracket for section playoffs. Corey, you had the opportunity to head over to the Hive in Perham and do a little section 6A boys basketball.
Saw a rock fight on Saturday afternoon, Henning and Park Christian, 49-45 final score in that one. I think this was just one of those games where these two teams are the exact, like the perfect mesh or the imperfect mesh of like each one was built specifically to stop what the other team tries to do naturally. Like they were just naturally, it was 49-45 is like not a lot of points. and they, I don't think either team played poorly by any means. It felt like all game long, it was just the other team trying to figure out what the other one was doing. And Henning came away victorious. They made some free throws down the stretch. Park Christian was not able to make some free throws. Funny how many games like that you could use that as an excuse. I thought they played well, and now they're in for a big one. They'll take on Ada Borup West, who beat Hillcrest Lutheran Academy. I think it was 82-62. It was a 20-point ball game. Remember, these two teams, the Hornets and the Cougars, played earlier in the season at the what's it called? Is it the breakdown, breakthrough, breakaway, breakdown? I can't hear you.
Mute. At the Hive in Perham.
Yeah, the breakdown, and that was a 2-point Henning victory in overtime. There's going to be some fireworks in that subsection championship game.
That's going to be a fun one. Those are two teams that have played each other once in the regular season. Not that there's like a big rivalry, but that's two teams who they've known on the calendar since last summer, that it was very likely going to get to this spot.
By the way, I think 4 of the top 10 teams in the entire state are playing in the subsection championship games in 6A.
Yeah. It's going to
What a section.
What a section. And it's going to, these are all 4 of those teams we're expecting to be at this spot, and they're expecting to play the teams that they are going to play. And here we go. Like it's going to be a lot. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a really, really cool night in Perham on Wednesday night for that game. It'll be pretty darn electric. It was a really fun environment for me, Corey, on Saturday, because I had to board up your game, and then I ran across town to go broadcast the Verndale and Browerville Eagle Valley game that was in the 5A West second round. Earlier, Walker, Hackensack, Akeley, and Nevis played. Nevis came away with a convincing victory. So they were playing for the right to take on Nevis on Wednesday night at WDC. And the Tigers were able to jump out early. They scored often, and they just took care of business in that one. Verndale just couldn't quite get the shots to fall that they wanted to. Normally, they didn't quite get to the free throw line as much as maybe they wanted to. And overall, Browerville's just a really, really nice team. They run up and down the floor really well. Multiple guys on that team are capable of scoring double digits on any given night. And they took care of business and won 84-48 or something along those lines. 84-44 was the victory for Browerville. They advance. The talk of the Tigers, the tussle of the Tigers, the battle for the Tigers, I don't know, whatever word you want to use, there will be a team with the Tiger mascot playing in the Section 5A championship game. Whether it's Nevis or Browerville Eagle Valley, we'll have to find out on Wednesday night. So that's going to be another good game.
Is there anything else with that, or do we need to address the elephant in the room?
Depends which elephant are we talking about, because Wadena Deer Creek also played.
Oh, there's one more high school game.
Yes.
Then sorry, that's what I was referencing.
Not quite the elephant. It's a little bit smaller elephant.
Sorry, I'm scrolling through everything right now.
No,
you're doing a great job, but I'm gonna start. You'll notice when news breaks because I'll be crying on camera.
So here we go. Wadena Deer Creek and Dilworth Glendon Felton, those two teams played less than 10 days ago from Saturday. Wadena Deer Creek got a win. Teshi Lore had a layup at the buzzer to win 59-58. And they came back into Wadena on Saturday night, talked with both coaches about the rematch, and head girls basketball coach for Wadena Deer Creek, Jordan Cressup, joined the broadcast, did a great job. And he really kind of said, because DGF is a slow you down defense, get into the post, not an outside shooting team. They want to slow it down kind of style. Whereas Wadena Deer Creek is up and down. They like the guard play. They don't have a ton of size. And really, whoever was going to dictate their style of play first was going to have a great chance to win the ball game. Wolverines jumped out to a 15-5 lead early and never really looked back. DGF will get it within 6 points from time to time, but from the start of the game, Wadena Deer Creek played great. They scored, their shooters got into it. And this was the other thing. We talk about it with Perham and like how it kind of felt like a business trip for them getting back through the section tournament again after winning it a year ago. But for Wadena Deer Creek, they took care of business. I think there was a play in the second half where Peyton Church had the ball stolen from him. And then the DGF scores it on the other end in transition, and the DGF side lights up. It's within like 6 points, and all of a sudden you think like, uh-oh, are things going to get weird here? But then Wadena Deer Creek on the press breaks it, and then within 5 seconds after inbounding the basketball, Peyton Church has it left side corner, buries a three, Wolverines back up by 9, and it's just one of those, like, they kept their composure really, really well, and their second half schedule was tough. They played a lot of section opponents, but they've learned in the second half of the season, not that they didn't know how to do it, but they've really fine-tuned closing out those ball games. And that was a situation where it could have got weird. Instead, they hung on and won pretty convincingly, and they're going to play Park Rapids area Wednesday night.
And that game, by the way, is going to be on KWAD. It's a late game at Concordia. So it's looking like a 7:30 pregame with a 7:40 tip. Those two teams played early in the season, early, like game before game.
It's like
3.
I think it was like game 1 or 2.
It might have been game 1. Yeah. So so a rematch from early in the season, again on KWAD on Wednesday night. And it's at Concordia, and I think that's it.
Playoff basketball. Let's do it.
The playoffs, baby.
All right, Corey, let the elephant out.
The Vikings signed a defensive end.
Hey, yo, we're on the board.
Here we go.
But wait, Corey, I thought that this only the tampering period. How could a deal have been struck so quickly between these teams?
Hey, that guy's just a football player. He just wants to play football. I'm sure the first team that called him, he said yes to, and it happened to be the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm sure there definitely wasn't any illegal tampering by any team. Whatever.
Wink. All right. Tell me who he is. Tell us who he is.
So the player the Vikings signed is edge rusher Jonathan Greenard. Greenard, Greenard. I'm going to go with Greenard. To a 4-year, $76 million contract.
I'm going to go with Greenards.
That's if he's not good. That's what we'll call him.
Say big money.
No. Come on. He just signed a contract. We're trying to welcome him in here. And now, well, I guess he'll become very familiar with Menards now. So that'll, there's a brand sponsorship there.
But also the Vikings are definitely going to save a little money.
They are going to save a little bit of money because this is basically the replacement for Daniil Hunter. This is as close as you're going to get. Daniil Hunter, while I'm sure Vikings fans wanted him to come back, I think the way the Vikings have not committed to re-signing him the last, 5 years now, I think Daniil Hunter's like, respectfully, I'm out of here. I'm going somewhere else.
Sure.
And worst case scenario, Daniil Hunter signs with the Bears, in which case that's not going to look good for the Vikings. But they signed, again, Jonathan Greenard, 4 years, $76 million, $42 million guaranteed. He had a breakout season last year with the Texans, 12.5 sacks.
Yep.
And under first-year head coach D'Amico Ryans, of course, the Texans defense took that jump. They made it to the divisional round. And did the Vikings get better with this signing? No. Did they get worse? Unlikely. Because, again, Daniil Hunter was a good player. And that's the thing. Even though you replaced Daniil Hunter, that's great. But you didn't get better. You just replaced a good player. That's a good thing. But you're not ascending yet. And so I guess that's the biggest thing. It's like when the Vikings cut Riley Reif a couple of years ago and drafted Darisaw. And it's like, great, you drafted a left tackle. But you also created the need by cutting the left tackle before. So like you're plugging a hole, and that's good, but like you're not necessarily upping your ceiling as a team in that immediate year. So that'll be the big thing to look at. I mean, as a pass rusher, he's a defensive end, outside linebacker. And the Vikings had really only one pass rusher last year, and it was Daniil Hunter. So now if you maybe sign him and you draft an edge rusher with the 11th overall pick, now maybe you got something going on the defensive side of the ball. The Vikings have basically everywhere that they can fill on the defensive side of things. We'll see how much money they have to play around with. Before we get kind of to the implications of that signing, Corey, what's your gut level feeling on Greenards here?
No, I love him. He's my favorite Viking of all time.
Yeah. He's going to be a great player. He's a team first guy. Everything about him is great. The Vikings were the only team he ever considered. He loves it here. I bet you his wife or some distant cousin probably lived in Bloomington or something, and you can connect it all together.
I love everything. I love everything about it. I think he's going to be a great fit.
Yeah, I think I bought his jersey before he's even signed the contract.
Yeah, I know that most teams like to sign guys that are not a fit schematically, but I feel like the Vikings got one here that is a fit schematically. So
yes, and that guy the Vikings were interested in that didn't sign, I didn't like him that much anyways. He wasn't very good. I wouldn't have paid that contract.
I've been saying for years they should get that Greenard guy.
So that's the fun of free agency, but that's part of being a fan. And the guys you sign are your new favorite players. So your new favorite player, Jonathan Greenard, gonna be with the Minnesota Vikings. Corey, here's the thing. So it's not. I mean, obviously 4 years, $76 million. That's above average defensive end money. It's not breaking the bank. It's not, it's not anything crazy. It's not what Danielle Hunter probably will get, but it's a nice contract for a nice player.
How old is he? Did you look that up? Did you find that?
I've not found that yet.
Okay, you keep talking. Yes. I'll look it up.
So here's the thing. The Vikings were interested in Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle from the Miami Dolphins. Are the Vikings still in that pursuit? Because you had Wilkins, then you can push Harrison Phillips to that kind of rotational role where he's better suited. You signed Danielle Hunter's replacement. Then you draft another defensive end outside linebacker in the draft in the first round. And now all of a sudden, your defense isn't loads better, but now all of a sudden you have a legit defensive line. And then that defensive line takes pressure off your team, off your corners and your linebackers and whatever. But the biggest thing is how much more money do the Vikings have in free agency? And there's a $40-some million decision that's looming with Kirk Cousins. So the Vikings have made their offer to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins said he will test free agency. That doesn't rule out re-signing with Minnesota. All it rules out is that the Vikings were going to extend him before the free agency window opened. The window's been open for over an hour to this point of recording, and he's talking probably with the Atlanta Falcons as we speak, or his agent is. Now, the Vikings have until Wednesday. Even if the Falcons come to an agreement with Kirk, a decision can't become final until Wednesday because that's when Kirk Cousins' contract will void and his cap hit will go into effect for next season. So Wednesday is the deadline when things can become officially official. So even if Kirk Cousins strikes a principled agreement, nothing is stopping the Vikings from coming in at the last second and giving him another offer. But
except for the giant check that Atlanta's probably going to give him.
Right. It'll be the Vikings could make that a bigger check. And that's the thing is Kirk Cousins obviously didn't get enough money from the Vikings because if Kirk Cousins got the dollar figure he was looking for, close to it, we probably aren't talking about him talking with the Falcons. The Vikings didn't lowball him, but he's a 36-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles surgery and a team that has been preparing to move on from him. So they're not going to, he's not getting a ginormous end your contract in end your career in Minnesota kind of contract. But basically Kirk Cousins is looking for the most fully guaranteed money possible. And probably Daniel Jones made $40 million last year. He's like, I'm better than Daniel Jones. I want more than $40 million. And that's kind of where we're sitting.
All right, let's talk about what we're talking about. We're wondering, is Kirk Cousins coming back?
Yes.
This from Dan Green on Facebook.
Okay.
At 10:35 a.m. this morning.
Who is Dan Green? Is he like an insider or something?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
You're jumping the gun.
All right.
I'm Kirk Cousins' neighbor and the guy who shovels his street so he can focus on Vikings games. I've been informed by him that my duties will not be needed in 2024 and that he's signing with the Falcons. Sad to see Kirk go. He was always a blessing to me and my family. Good luck in Atlanta, Kirk. He took that post down minutes later. Now, all I know is that it's going around on social media. I don't know if Dan Green is really his neighbor or if he isn't, or if it's just a made up thing, but it's a thing that exists out on Twitter. and Facebook. It's a real thing that's out there. What does that mean? I haven't seen a single thing. Every speculative piece that has been out about Kirk Cousins has been he's going to Atlanta. Every single one from accounts like Vikings guy 27 and or like Falcons guy 28, like everything has been Kirk Cousins is going to Atlanta. I haven't seen a single rumor that says he's coming back to Minnesota.
So what I heard from Schefter this morning, he was on ESPN. Schefter said that even though Kirk is taking the meetings, he still is going to need to be pried away from the Vikings. Now, what does pried away mean? It probably means hit this dollar figure and you can pry me away. Because Kirk Cousins does like the situation in Minnesota. Why wouldn't he? Kevin O'Connell's the head coach who's in his corner. He's got Justin Jefferson to throw the football to. The offensive line is in a decent spot. He doesn't have to move. Like there's a lot of reasons to sign with the Vikings. I honestly think if you gave Kirk Cousins, like put him to a lie detector test, he'd probably say, I just wish the Vikings would, give me an extension that's preferable to me and I'll stay here. I don't think it's like if they pay me the most money. I think it's like if the dollars are close enough, I'll sign with the Vikings. I'm speculating, but I think based on that, but I think it's the Vikings are probably not giving him a contract that he feels he's worth. Because it's not about the money. It's about what the money represents. And the Vikings are giving Kirk Cousins a contract that says that he's worse than Daniel Jones, or the Baker Mayfield just had a contract extension yesterday, one that effectively says that I'm worse than Baker Mayfield. Well, he's not taking that contract. And that'll be the interesting factor in all this. But with the snow shovel guy's report, I mean, that could be very true. And Kirk Cousins changed his mind and he took it down. It could be that it blew up and he was like, oh, I should probably take this down. It could mean a lot of things. I don't know.
It could be a lie. It could be just
it could be just a rando. Yeah.
It could just be right. Okay. So how about this? What are the things that exist in the world that indicate he's coming back to the Vikings? I have two things. They're silly things.
Okay.
They are Kirk Cousins got a grill and JJ commented on it and loved it. Mm-hmm. Like I know how stupid that sounds. That is
those are two guys that like each other.
That means a lot. Like I think that means a lot towards him coming back. The things that are out there that exist that mean he's not coming back. Not a single thing has ever said he's coming back to Minnesota. Every indication is that he's going to be a Falcon.
So according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, the Vikings brought in Jonathan Grenard. They also have shown interest in Christian Wilkins. They've inquired on Chiefs corner L'Jarius Sneed as well to bring in. The Vikings have re-signed Quisenberry, the backup offensive lineman, and Blake Brandel, another backup offensive lineman as well, to kind of show around some depth. By the way, here's another free agency nugget. Tony Pollard, the Cowboys running back, signed a contract with the Titans. Teams that were interested in Tony Pollard, the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Vikings were all in pursuit. The Vikings have been after some big fish in terms of the running back game. I don't know if Saquon was the exact one, but Tony Pollard might have been a nice one. They definitely don't want to waste draft capital on a running back, especially because O'Connell's offense can be very complex. So they maybe want to bring in a veteran who can pick it up a little bit faster. There's a lot of stuff to take into consideration. But anyway, the thing with Kirk Cousins coming back, the things I've just seen is that I think the thing is it's going to take the Falcons matching that offer. And do the Falcons actually? Maybe not. Maybe they don't give him that number. Maybe the Falcons said, well, the Vikings aren't giving him a high number. Let's see. We don't need to give him everything he's asking for. Let's give him a number. And maybe it's low enough where he goes back to the Vikings and goes, you know what? I'm just going to stay. But you're right. In terms of hard factual reports, there isn't I think Kirk Cousins just has a preference of staying if the money's right. But I think he doesn't have a preference in staying if the money's not right either, which is his prerogative. That's not a bad, good, or otherwise thing. So anyway,
all right,
just a lot to think about.
We're trying to stall here too a little bit, to be fair, because I would love to see it come across the news so that way we can just say it on here and immediately pump this thing out. But a couple points to what you said. You mentioned Saquon Barkley. I don't need the Vikings spending. Saquon's awesome. I don't need the Vikings spending money on that guy, unless, of course, that means Kirk is gone and you have, like, it is going to be a Jaron Hall sort, like it's going to be Christian Ponder and Adrian Peterson kind of a situation. Like, we just have to run it because our QB is not going to be able to bail us out. And then the other thing is, if Kirk, this is going to be a secondary sad thing. If Kirk goes to Atlanta, I've drafted Kyle Pitts on my fantasy football team for every single year that dude's been in the league. And he has, and I'm not trying to understate this, and I'm trying to be respectful, sucked. He's been an awful fantasy tight end. And if Kirk Cousins is an Atlanta Falcon, Kyle Pitts is an immediate draft for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a very interesting situation with all this. I just saw another thing come flash across the ticker for Jonathan Grenard. He was 10th in sacks last year. I'm guessing that's in the NFL. And they weren't empty calories. This, according to Mina Kimes of ESPN. He finished 6th in ESPN's pass rush win rate as part of a Houston front that didn't blitz very often. He's a very complete player, and he's 26 years old.
26. He just got done with his rookie deal. It's going to be spend all your money on this guy and go get that big fat guy you're talking about earlier, the D tackle. I'm cool with that.
That's a good free agency.
That changes a lot. It all of a sudden makes your linebackers a little better because they don't have to,
they don't have to chase as long.
They don't have to chase. They don't have to fend off themselves from oncoming offensive linemen, which is never good. I think, yeah, I would be fine. I would rather they spend money that way than necessarily go get Saquon. That being said, if Saquon's in Vikings purple, I'd be pretty thrilled too.
Another NFL free agency note: the Jaguars sign Bills wide receiver Gabe Davis. So there you go. That's the latest thing. Let's talk about one last thing, non-football related, and we'll finish up the podcast on that. And as some breaking news happens, we'll hop to it. The Wolves lost last night. Corey, they were on ESPN. Did you get a chance to watch them? And what were your impressions of the game?
I did. Every time I've watched the Wolves in the past 2 seasons, they've lost.
I think we know a sign.
Literally every time. Every time. I don't know. They ran out kind of like they're not, the B squad would be disrespectful, but they were not at full strength.
Luka Garza was getting significant minutes. That's how you know that things were not going.
I like Luka. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, Luka can do some nice things, but
Luka can do some stuff.
On a team that's trying to be at the top of the Western Conference, he's maybe a guy that should be getting, kind of that second big guy off the bench, but the Wolves were in that scenario. Obviously, Cat's out. Rudy Gobert was out in that game. Kyle Anderson didn't play. The Wolves were just without a lot of starters. Ant had a decent game, but wasn't like a ginormously big game from Anthony Edwards. Really, at the end of this game, and Anthony Davis tends to do this to the Wolves when Gobert's not playing, because you saw it in the play-in game last year between those two teams. Anthony Davis killed the Wolves on the boards. And this is a team that did not have Towns or Gobert. And when you lose your size, that's a Lakers team where, if you don't have size, Anthony Davis and LeBron are going to pick you apart.
And when you say kill, what you really mean is 27 points and 25 rebounds.
You muscled his way through.
An annihilation of an effort on the glass.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. It was a good game. The Lakers, obviously are not having the season they want. And here's the ready for the moral victory. The Wolves ran out of gas at the very end, but through 3.5 quarters, they hung right with the Lakers team that was missing Jared Vanderbilt, and that's it. So the glass half full perspective is, yeah, they lost the game and that stinks, but they're in the middle of like a 6-game road trip. They're playing at the Staples Center, national televised game. LeBron is getting up for that one. AD's getting up for that one. And
the Lakers are 9th when I had that game on, CJ, I was like, this is hilarious that the Timberwolves are on national television and they're like, you know what? We can cash this one in.
Right.
Like that's where the Timberwolves are awesome and the Lakers are not awesome. So the Timberwolves are like, you know what's more important? Clippers Wednesday.
Right.
Or Tuesday, whatever.
We don't need to get up. The Timberwolves are saying, we don't care about this Lakers game. We need to make sure we're right to play the Clippers.
Glass half full. Glass half full.
Yeah, it's pretty much where we're at with stuff. And
can I change the subject back to Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. No, I think we said everything we need to say about that game.
Diane Rossini.
Yep.
Right? Is that
Diana Rossini?
Diana,
of The Athletic.
The Athletic. I want a clarification on her tweet.
Okay.
Her tweet came out just before the negotiating period opened up, correct? And it said something to the effect of, wait, did you just see something?
Yes. Here we go. Dolphins free agent Christian Wilkins is headed to the Raiders.
Okay, cool. Have fun out there, dude.
He gets a 4-year deal worth $110 million that is 84.75 guaranteed.
They got to do it. They've got Herbert and Mahomes in that division. They have to pay him that much. Good for them.
So he gets teamed up with Max Crosby. That's going to be a nice Raiders defensive line.
Okay, back to the Rossini tweet.
Okay.
Is it possible that when she said Kirk Cousins will begin the free agency period in 90 minutes by talking with the Atlanta Falcons? I'm paraphrasing that tweet.
Yep.
Is it possible that Kirk Cousins is such a rule follower that there has been no tampering on Kirk Cousins and that this might actually take longer than we expect because he is following the rules?
I think
is that in play here?
Kirk Cousins is the rule follower. His agent, on the other hand, might not be the rule follower.
I know, but is Kirk Cousins going to hire somebody who's going to be like wink, wink, nudge, nudge?
I think
I'm serious. Is there a chance that Kirk Cousins has only been talking to people for 90 minutes?
There's a chance, based on the way of Kirk's history of negotiating. That dude should be hired by like the Players Association when he's done with his ability to negotiate some of this stuff, because that guy does it. That guy knows how to work the game. My guess is probably not. My guess is that Kirk Cousins knows how to leverage people. So he is I shouldn't say people. He knows how to leverage teams. And so my guess is he's met with the Falcons. He got their number, and now his agent is calling Kwesi right now and saying like, all right, Atlanta gave us this. You have an hour. What do you say?
Right.
What's your offer?
Right.
And also, the Vikings have until Wednesday. Kirk Cousins can't become a free. I think Kirk Cousins can't officially sign with the team until Wednesday. Yep. So that's the other kind of thing to this as well. So, that would be my guess, but also we can't really throw it out, can we?
No, we can't.
One last thing to end the podcast on for today. Changing of the guard, David Bakhtiari has been released by the Packers. Hasn't played in like 3 years.
I was going to say, technically, he released himself 3 seasons ago.
Resident Packer fan Jared Reinitz is somewhere crying tears of joy.
Well, if I were a Packer fan, I'd already be upset because that dude is definitely going to be healthy for one more season and be very impactful for someone.
Can't wait until the Chargers overpay for him or something.
That's a good spot. I think you're right.
It's a good spot. More free agency news happens. We'll talk about it tomorrow on the Morning Sports Desk. This has been the episode today for Monday, March 11th.